my house and visit with me. They want to know why, and they want to hear more about this. They want to read, they wanted to see this exact debatement paper telling me that I need to get rid of machinery off of my commercial lot that pertain to my business. And I'd like to go over some of these items. And this is 205, 20511. This is my house. It says scrap metal items stored outside behind the garage, around and under the fuel tank, buckets, scrap wood, farm machinery, etc. The scrap metal is neatly stacked in buckets. The buckets, other buckets are pertain to, has oil in it, used oil. And my scrap guy picks all that stuff up. He ain't been around lately. I don't know why he hasn't come around, but that's where I always set it for him, and he picked it up from there. And it's nice and neatly stacked. It's not like stuff strewn all over the place. And I don't know what the scrap wood is. I don't have any scrap wood. The only thing I have is some blocking and stuff like that that I use for shoring stuff up, stuff like that. And that's not scrap stuff. That's full length, big 8x8s, stuff like that. But I do have, where it says junk vehicle, I do have a 2001. It was registered to me. I sold my son a few years ago. He never did register it. He recently, here a few months back, moved to Wyoming. It is now registered in Wyoming. He just hasn't come and got it. And I told him that this thing he's gotten out of here. He told me that if I wanted to just go ahead and sell it. So I think I might just get rid of that one. It's not been mine to mess with. It does run and everything, but with my back, I've already got enough stuff to do. I ain't worried about moving no stupid vehicle. And the 85 Chevy, I was doing some work on that just before I got laid up last year. I'm not back to full capacity working on it, but it is licensed. And I have intentions of working on it this fall when things cool down a little bit. And we'll get that back in there.
It is currently licensed.
Yeah, it's licensed. Everything there's licensed except for, well, the F-150 is licensed, but it's licensed in Wyoming where my son moved to. So that pretty much takes care of everything at 205. The machinery that it's talking about, we discussed that last time. It's sitting there for a couple of reasons. One, for the wintertime to be plugged in because they're diesel. Two, it sits under security cameras because stuff gets messed with around there. And that's why it's there. Plus, it has to be moved every 30 days, and it is. It's all moved, each and every bit of it is. There's no weeds, everything keeps mowed down. It's mowed down on the other side. Just the only places that it can't be mowed is where I can't get to with the mower. And because I can't weed eat, I always spray in there at 204-10. And I sprayed twice this year, but like I said, because of the drought, weeds grow with a vengeance. They are now all weed eated down at 204 though. So that issue's gone. Nothing else at 205, but at 204-10, it says junk vehicle, the 99 Chevy Astro van, license AVG 640. Well, that was the old plate before my parents moved to South Carolina. That was my dad's van. They had a pack full of stuff. My dad passed away before he got back up here to get it. It was stored out in the country until last year, and my mom brought it back into town so she can get the rest of her stuff out of it. And because of changing to South Carolina plates, when they went back to Iowa, it couldn't have the same number, and it has been registered since last year. And I have the current registration and last year's registration to show that it wasn't sitting there unregistered like this says it is. And it does run. Matter of fact, I just hauled it to Cedar Rapids yesterday to get new tires put on it. Because my mom's wanting to get it back up and use it as a daily driver instead of a better van. Once again, the 90 Lincoln Town Car limo, license plate LUXURY. That is incorrect. As we went over last year, those are the old plates. The new plates are sitting in window HDC 682, as you can obviously tell because he wrote it down on here, and it is currently registered. And it is displayed on the vehicle. It's sitting in the windshield, just as we went over last year. It does run. Matter of fact, I started it up and turned around and faced it the other direction. And the vehicle does have flat tires. Yes, it does. Because it miraculously keeps getting nails and screws put in it, like all the other vandalism that's been done to it. The windshield wipers are all busted up. It's got big scratch marks down the side. It's been vandalized. It keeps getting it. I get tired of fixing the tires, and I ain't putting new tires on it until somebody does something about the vandals.
Thought you had cameras.
Huh?
I thought you had cameras.
Have what? Oh, cameras.
Cameras.
They don't point way over there, and I kind of have the car sitting by the edge of the property so that it funnels people over where the cameras do shine in the property. So it's kind of working as a fence for me because it's long. It takes up a lot of the property frontage, and it funnels people if somebody was to walk on the property to go in this space that I use to go in and out of where the cameras do shine across over there. But where the car is, where the back end of the car is, there's no camera that points over to that corner. But the car does run, moves, pumps tires up, started right up, turned the car around and parked it in a different direction, make everybody happy. It is registered. Obviously, they know it's registered because they got the proper license plate number written down here. It's sitting in the window. It's not being driven down the road, so I don't have to have them displayed on the bumpers like you would if you were driving on the highway. Tires, agricultural machinery, and other heavy machinery and or accessories. There's no heavy machinery. Heavy machinery would be a bulldozer or a full-size excavator. This is light to light medium equipment. There's not one piece of heavy machinery out there. And even if there was heavy machinery, I'm still allowed to have it on my property to run my business. Tires, I'm assuming it's the same tires they talked about last year. It's a brand new set of tires on rims that are my turf tires for my tractor when I work on yards, so I'm not tearing them up. They're going on my shelves. I started putting shelves up last year to store attachments for my machinery on, and these tires are going on it too. And I don't have all the shelving put up yet, and I can't finish it just yet. It's just a little bit too far out of my reach to finish because of my back.
Is that on the inside of a building or the outside?
No, it's outside. It's the shelves that you see at a lot of businesses where they raise stuff up with a forklift and set it on a pallet. It's like 3 shelves high. And I got a lot of my attachments for my skid loaders and stuff like that that's sitting on it. And those tires are going on there. The one problem with tires is the fact that they don't like them sitting outside because they get water in them and draw mosquitoes. Well, they can't get water in them. They're on rims. They're tires that get used. It's not like they're junk tires I'm keeping around.
I would think you would want to keep them in a place where they would.
Well, I was going to put a kind of like a box over them to keep the sun off of them. But that's where their intentions were to go, was on them shelves. I got one more tier to put up on the shelves. And I got hurt before I got it all put up last year. And I put that up so the machinery was sitting nice and neat and looking better. And agriculture machinery and other heavy accessories. So I don't know what else you guys want from me. I mean, what, you want me to close my doors and go out of business and get rid of my machinery off my commercial lot?
So on a couple of these things, per city code ordinance, everything must be on an all-weather surface, stored on an all-weather surface. So your limo is surrounded by weeds. That's not rock or cement.
It's on rock.
I can't see that. It looks like weeds.
Well, I can't weed eat, but I have sprayed a couple times this year.
But it's the homeowner's responsibility or the commercial owner's responsibility to maintain that, whether that's bringing in more wheat or more rock or hiring somebody to do weed eating.
Well, right at the moment, my business is barely making enough money to make the payments on the stuff because I had to defer some things over the winter while I was laid up. And that has been my first priority, according to the people from, Easter Seals and all them.
Yeah, so I'm not for sure how disability works, so I just, a couple of questions is, you say you're not supposed to bend,
Bend,
twist,
lift, or twist.
bend, lift, or twist. So when I come home on E66 every night, I see you out at the farm. How does that relate to bend, lifting, twisting? Like, how do they regulate that or make sure that you're not overdoing it when you're out
You
working
mean
on your farm?
out at my farm? Or
Yeah. Out there at
I
E60?
sit. I either sit or I'm on my knees. If on my knees, I can touch the ground. I can reach the ground. So I'm not bending. I'm
Okay.
not lifting anything, and I'm not twisting. I try not to do it as much of that as possible.
Uh-huh.
I try to do mostly the machinery. My wife does most of that, but on occasion I have to help. And when I do, I sometimes suffer for it. I'm still,
Mhm.
I push myself daily to get myself stronger, faster.
Yeah.
And I'm not supposed to do the bending, lifting, or twisting because of the fusions that I have. I'm not supposed to put the to them.
Mhm.
So
But I guess what I'm asking though is how does that, how do they see that with you working?
well, they told me I
versus-
could because it helps strengthen the muscles. They want
But-
me to do work. They just
But not
don't want me
weedy?
to overdo it.
That's where I'm confused. I just was curious how that worked.
My body telling me it's time to quit, shut down. There's days I can't go full days. I'm only getting 50 hours a weekend now where I used to do 80 to 100. And so I'm only half of what I was. And
Okay.
my body tells me when I need to quit. It tells me when I get too sore. Some days I overdo it and I pay for it and I'm down and out for a couple days and can't do nothing. I'm not a person for sitting around and never have been. Every time I get knocked down, I get right back up on my feet and go. In every situation.
So I guess back in reference to some of these vehicles, why not, we've been here before, why not just put the plates on the limo? That way you have the valid plates on the limo.
They're right in the window
But why not just put them on the bumper?
because they tear up the plates that are on there. The plate that is on the front right now is all, I keep having to straighten it back up. I figured the best place for it is where they can't get to it. It's inside under glass where it can be seen. We discussed that last year. They know it's there. They can see it. It's right there where they can see it when they drive by. It's registered. Every piece of my machinery or every vehicle of mine is registered on that property.
Again, I just don't see why not just eliminate that and put it on the vehicle's property.
Well, because they tear it up. Things keep getting torn up on that limo. Every time I walk out there, there's something new torn up on it. And the one reason I'm still sitting on it, I'm still waiting for the right buyer on it, and I do want to get rid of it, but I'm not gonna just throw it away. There's several $1,000s worth of limo lighting and lake lights and stuff like that in there. It's worth a lot of money. The interior is immaculate in that thing still. The outside is all tore to crap because people vandalizing it.
Have you ever filed police reports on that?
Yeah.
Have you?
I made real quick, just for the council's information, the limo was discussed at the last nuisance hearing that the court held in October of 2018, and I think you guys have a copy of that order. And you can see what was cited there, and I think all besides the antique tractor, Mr. Brown was found guilty to have the nuisance. It was found conclusively by the court, other than the antique tractor, that there was a nuisance on the property and that he was given 10 days from the order to abate said nuisance, and then that he was enjoined for 5 years from having a nuisance on the property at 204 10th Street in Belle Plaine. So, a lot of these questions as far as the limo has been concerned, and I understand that you're looking for the right buyer and things like that, but it's been 5 years since it was last adjudicated. And it's not like the city hasn't given time. And the sole purpose of tonight's hearing is for the council to determine whether or not there's a nuisance on the property at both 204 and 205. And if so, then give them a certain amount of time to abate it. That time, if it's not abated within that time frame, then further action or citations, or in this case, I would recommend a contempt action of the original order for 204 10th Street, since he's in violation of that. So,
Contempt of what?
contempt of the.
Having
order.
machinery that belongs to a business?
No, I'll answer your question. Contempt of the June 20th, 2019 court order. Perhaps you remember we had that hearing.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the court found, after 6 months of, weighing the evidence, weighing the testimony, that all except for the antique tractor that you were cited for back in 2018 was the nuisance.
I had a hay baler. At the time, I didn't think I was gonna get back on my feet, and the hay baler was what they wanted me to get rid of. It was part of my business.
With all due respect, it wasn't just the hay baler, the limo was that issue too. In fact, we had argued, because I was there, the limo was argued that it wasn't registered. The evidence that you provided showed that it was registered the day before trial or the day of trial. And so that was deemed a junk vehicle. And
It was before that.
you don't have to take my word for it, it's in the court order. So, realistically, I think, we've heard testimony of the defendant, or excuse, not the defendant yet, but of Mr. Brown, in regards to the citations he's been issued. Now, if the council has any other questions, they can certainly ask them, but basically you have to determine whether or not a nuisance exists on the property. And then if so, what would be a proper time frame for him to clean it up? And then if that's not done, then, then further enforcement action will take place. So this isn't the trial, this isn't really the time for testimony or evidence per se, it's just a hearing, a public hearing for the council to decide that.
Chief Hudson, has there been any improvement on either one of these properties?
There has been some, yes. That van that we mentioned earlier, the 99 Chevy Astro that had the registration canceled on it, it has since moved. I don't know where it's at, it doesn't matter. So that issue's taken care of. And again, the plates that were on it, I'm only gonna run the license plates that are on it. I'm not gonna trace through somebody's private property to run a VIN number or check the dashboard of a car to see if there's a different license plate. I'm gonna assume that the license plates that are affixed are current for that vehicle. So that one is taken care of. And let's see the other ones here. Same goes with the brown Ford F-150. If it's registered in Wyoming, there's no way for me to know that it's got Iowa plates on it. The 85 Scottsdale, I mean, it's just like you said, it is licensed, no doubt about it. It doesn't move, he's doing work on it. I'm assuming it doesn't run, maybe it does, I don't know. But it doesn't move. The limo doesn't move. It's by his own admission, it's been sitting there with flat tires, whether it's vandal or not. I mean, it's been there a long time. So
It's facing a totally different direction than it was.
you did move it. I took note of that. I was rather impressed that you did move it with flat tires.
Pumped them up.
But as it sits today, it's by definition a junk vehicle. So.
Well, I feel that there is a violation here that needs to be addressed. So I think we should take the same action we've done with other citizens.
If I could add to this whole, the whole thing started, I didn't just randomly drive down the alley. I had a complaint about weeds. There's a photograph of those that you were given, and that's in that stack of photographs. They were tall between his driveway and the neighboring driveway. And that's essentially what started it. And
Between where?
your driveway from off the alley, right where it kind of adjoins the neighboring yard. There was some.
That's that same, that's the stuff that's planted there, like on Main Street. Those tall things are
Yeah, I mean, it was just in
They're still there.
general weeds, but, and then the running of that place on the vehicle was in sand, so.
Do you have any suggestions for, a cure period?
What have we done for other citizens? I'd like to follow the same thing.
I mean, I think if you're asking about previous councils or.
No,
meetings,
previous, other residents that have had this same issue, what have we done for them?
it's
30.
Varied, actually.
Kind of depends on the size and scope of the nuisance and, you know, I guess conversations with the property owner, what they think a reasonable time would be.
Mhm.
You know, it's, you know, mowing the yard's different than removing a, you know, fleet of junk vehicles and vice versa.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess just as to my mention of all-weather surface, you know, this right here is clearly not on an all-weather surface. This is dirt and weeds here. That's dirt and weeds there. So, I mean, just definitely if stuff's gonna be parked, it has to be on rock or cement.
I'll point out too, on these abatement orders that I serve, they don't ever tell anybody they have to get rid of anything. It's typically, unless it's like refuse or garbage or something like that's the health hazard, there's always, I mean, acts necessary to abate, either storage or removal. Removal is obviously an option, you know, but who am I to tell somebody they have to get rid of their property? I'm not gonna do that. You know, but either proper storage or removal is always an option. And then I always throw a sentence in there, the vehicles have to be licensed and they have to move under their own power at least every 30 days, just because that's what the ordinance says. And so.
The one vehicle, and I forget which one you said it was, that belongs to your mother.
Yeah, it's a van.
Wouldn't that make more sense to have it at her house and let her do what she needs to do to it?
She don't really have the room. She brought it, we hauled it back into town here so she could unload the stuff out of it. And she registered it last year when she brought it in town. It's been sitting there. She took stuff out of it. It was shortly before I got laid up last year that was finished, but I never got the, because of it sitting, it had a gummed up fuel pump. And it sat for about 5 years out in the country. And she wanted to get it up and going. And I think it was like the day before we even got this notice that it was already taken. She took it down to had me take it down to where Hookfields was. And he was the one that put the new fuel pump in it for her. And I just hauled it up to Cedar Rapids yesterday to get new tires. Still sitting on my trailer.
Just a suggestion. I mean,
It's going up to her house.
well,
So I'm open to ideas as to what we give Mr. Brown for a time frame, but I definitely think
Well, the original order gave them 10 days to clean it up. The original complaint.
back in,
And we were here
that was
last
August.
year.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, the original orders went out on August 8th, and I guess,
Yeah, notice to abate nuisance looks like it was issued about a month ago.
yeah. So what do you guys think?
I would be open to no more than 2 weeks, which would be our next council meeting. To have a report and see how things are at that time. Because it has been a month, nearly a month, 2 days short of a month when the abatement notice went out.
sounds fair.
Yeah,
agree.
and then we'll have you come in again, and, or you can update Steve or the chief, and they can verify.
So my machinery has to be gone off my property?
Not, I don't think any, from what Chief Hudson said, he can't tell you to remove things, but they need to be stored properly.
That's why I keep going back to that all-weather surface, the rock.
It is rock right by that semi-trailer where that M is sitting.
It has to be
in the-
maintained by the, it has to be maintained by the property owner. Whether there's rock 6 inches under the dirt, that doesn't matter. It has
No,
to
it's
be,
rock. You can see it. That's where the square baler and the round baler and the M sitting, that's all rock right there by that.
I don't see any rock there, I'm sorry.
You can't see it because that wagon's in the way.
But the wagon is sitting on weeds, it looks like. I don't see any rock there.
It's all rock right out front. It's rocked all the way up to the street.
I would suggest getting in more rock and covering the weeds or taking care of the weeds, spraying the weeds, and then laying down more rock so we can see that there's rock and that it is on an all-weather surface.
Okay? Now what about the machine or the attachments? Because that was one of the things that said, and attachments.
It all
The
has to,
attachments are sitting on them shelves. The shelves are sitting on, big, huge, treated, foundation.
is there any way that we could get Mr. Brown the proper ordinance so he understands what it is, the responsibility of the property owner as to how they're supposed to store stuff in our city code book?
Yeah, I'm sure we could.
Could we do, I mean, because
The shelves aren't considered proper storage? That was the question I asked. The shelves are sitting on a treated foundation, treated wood foundation, or about that big a square.
On the notice to abate, it says acts necessary to abate, so storage of the listed items in an enclosed building.
So here's the picture of the limo.
Yep.
And whose building is this? Is that yours?
No, that's,
It's the neighbor's.
that's a neighbor. Believe me, if I owned that building, I'd have a lot of stuff inside it.
You
I don't
have-
like my machinery sitting outside any more than anything because it deteriorates. It makes it go downhill faster.
Yeah. Sounds to me like maybe you might consider a sale of your stuff. You're in that business.
Selling my business,
No, selling your equipment.
that's what I run my business with. I do property maintenance, landscaping, that kind of stuff.
I see.
That's what I need the equipment for. It ain't just there as a collector's item. All those are attachments sitting on those shelves that go on the skid loader. There's grapple buckets, there's, power rakes, stuff like that. That stuff is expensive. The power rake just cost me 14 grand last year.
So I'd sure
It
want
ain't
that
cheap.
want it in a building then.
well, according to the court order, that the attorney stating that that is not following what they're requesting, and so that would have to be taken care of. If that's what I'm understanding from our
So
attorney.
how, I mean, there's a lot of businesses that have those that have stuff stacked on them. How, where is it supposed to be on?
What businesses, and we're talking about this right here, and what the court ordered you to do.
I guess I'm not following. It's supposed to be properly stored. That's what those shelves are made for storing stuff on. They're up off the ground.
Is it in an enclosed building as it states in the court order?
No, it's not an enclosed building.
So then it's not following what the court is asking you to do.
I don't think, Bob, I don't think the shelving part of it would be such a huge issue because that's probably the most organized of that lot. I don't think that would be such an issue if the rest of that stuff.
That's why I started putting that stuff up, but I got hurt before I got finished putting it up last year. That's the big issue, is the fact that I can't do some of this work. I still have one more section of that shelving to put up, and the shelving is sitting on a foundation. That's why I was trying to clarify because you're saying it's not proper storage, but according to code, it's supposed to be sitting on a hard weather surface or all weather surface, wherever it's sitting on a footing. The shelving is on a footing. That's why I was trying to clarify that. I wasn't understanding.
Well, I think that's just a minor part of the whole puzzle down there. And I think if we went forward and pursued this legally, because of that 5-year ruling, you know, there,
That's what I'm trying to clarify. What do you want done? You said you was gonna have 2 weeks and come back, and that's why I'm wanting to clarify what exactly is wanting moved, done, whatever.
So as I mentioned previously, I think a good start would be getting everything on a all-weather surface, meaning more rock, and get the weeds cleaned up. That'd be a good starting point for the next 2
Weeds
weeks.
are already down.
I think that we ask for an update in 2 weeks and see where we're at.
right,
So the stuff that's in the 10th Street lot, you're just storing that stuff right there for your business, right?
The machinery? Yeah. That's why it's a commercial, that's why I bought it. It's commercial.
I just wanted to make sure I understood.
The reason I bought it originally. I wasn't incorporated back when I first bought it. I was running as a sole proprietorship, but even as a sole proprietorship, I'm allowed to keep machinery on my property that pertain to my business. And that's what I was doing. And then I wound up incorporated the business. That's the whole reason I bought the property, because it was commercial. And every time I turn around, I'm getting told that I can't have this on it or I can't have that on it. And that's what the judge cited me for, was having machinery that pertained to my business. And it was sitting on gravel. It was a baler, anti-tractor on this property as kind of advertisement for the business, because my original business is custom farming. And I kind of slowly got out of that a little bit and got more into the property maintenance stuff because of my back, bouncing around big tractors, my back just couldn't take it anymore. So I downsized to some of the smaller stuff. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just to be a squirrel trying to get a nut out there. And since I've gotten laid up, it kind of slowed me down on being able to chop a weed. Normally, there's no weeds out there.
but this year's different. And,
Yeah, because I'm laid up.
well, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, I mean,
Do
I'm,
it
I'm sorry
yourself.
that your health is bad, but you're still responsible to take care of the property. And that's real, I'm trying to read through this to really understand what the original nuisance, what's the court said. And the main thing, I think, is the weeds and keeping things under hard surface. And then I think your suggestion in getting the actual code and how it's written and how things should be stored, because it seems like I've been on the council 6 years, it seems like about every 2 years, we're dealing with something on your property. And I know you're trying to work hard, and that's great. But, it seems like we're being constantly having to remind you, you got to keep things in order, you got to keep things on hard surface, and you got to keep the weeds down. That's what the nuisance says. That's what the nuisance is. It's what we're requiring everyone to do. Whether or not you're healthy or not, it's your property. You have to take care of it. You got to find someone else to do it. You have to do it. And I think you got, what are we going to say, till the next meeting to get that done. And then we'll have Chris look at it. And if that's done, then we'll move on. But I think you have the right to understand what the ordinance is on where things are supposed to be stored. And I think we need to get you that on what the ordinance says. So it's in black and white and there's no gray area. It's not fair to you, but it's also not fair to us to have to come back and constantly remind you what should be done on a property for commercial and for a private residence. And that way we're all on the same page. We want you to be successful in your business. We want you to be healthy. We also don't want your neighbors upset and pissed because stuff's not looking right. That's the goal of what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to be a pain in the butt. So work with us, we'll work with you, but you got to get this cleaned up. Fair enough?
Fair.
All right. 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
So we probably need a motion from the council and a vote in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I make a motion that in 2 weeks, we will review Mr. Brown's property to make sure that he's cleaned up the weeds, and we need to get him ordinance readings on how commercial property should be stored.
I'll second that.
I was wondering if the council mind if I asked him one quick question for clarification.
Let's get this vote done.
All right, I'm sorry.
We're gonna
Right.
do this vote.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Sorry to
Okay, go
interrupt
ahead.
there. One time you had talked to me, you were really excited about a piece of equipment you had. It was a box blade with claws inside that you could rehabilitate gravel with. Do you still have that?
Mhm.
That'll bring the gravel back up to the top. That might be a real easy solution for you. Thanks.
One thing that just came to my mind, I also have a topsoil, pile of topsoil. What's the ordinance on storing that?
We'll have to find out for you. I don't know that answer.
Because I go through quite a bit of topsoil. I sell it quite a bit. I have probably a couple dump trucks full we got out there. And
I would say keep the weeds off it.
it's fine where it's at.
I mean, I don't think. there's
We'll,
a
we'll review it
specific-
just to make sure, but we'll get you an absolute answer so that you know. Because that's only fair to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Agenda item number 7, approve the following documents relating to the CDBG-DR housing grant and authorize the mayor to sign them. A is the developer agreement, B is the mortgage form, C is the promissory note, D is the assignment of leases and rents, and E is the rental covenants form. Who's gonna,
So if anybody has questions, Paula Mitchell from EC Cog is here, and she'll be happy to.
I'll make her
answer
stand up.
them. The developer was unable to attend tonight, so she is attending in his stead. And this is basically the next steps involving the process on the building on Main Street that Brian Locke is redoing.
Right.
Upstairs living and the business on the main floor.
and just to review the city's involvement, it's,
We're kind of a pass-through, actually. There's been a large grant awarded to the city. And then as the developer develops things and expends money, then we can draw down from that award and reimburse them on certain items and things. And Paula is doing a
So you get to do all
great
the
job of saying,
paperwork.
here's the next thing you need to do.
That's
Here's
our
the
role,
next thing
yes.
you need.
What's that?
Yes, our role is to ensure that everybody gets to keep the grant money. So,
Yeah.
really, the purpose of these agreements is to secure the federal interest, the state interest, the city's interest in the grant money. So, the project is going well, but it's just a safeguard to ensure that everybody performs. And if they don't, there's a mechanism to address that.
so the documentation is fairly standard for these types of projects. And I think I recall that the developer has prior experience
Correct.
with other projects, so.
Yes.
So it's up to the developer really to do all the work, and then it has to get inspected to get reviewed. And so that's what's really is that review is what we need to make sure all passes.
Right, so there's the component that the developer needs to follow through and complete the project according to all codes and ordinances and health and safety standards, follow all of the federal requirements, and then there's an ongoing requirement to maintain the property for the affordability period, which is in this case 15 years.
Who does the on-site inspection? I mean, to kind of check what the developer's doing. Do you guys come out and look at that?
We will inspect,
Okay.
make progress inspections. We've performed a lead inspection, and any lead that was found in the building will be addressed as part of the construction.
Okay. So we just got to get all the paperwork signed for you.
Right.
All right.
Anything else?
When's the completion, do we think?
So the city's contract for these funds, I believe, goes through March 31st of 2025. If for some reason there would be delays, but, efforts are being made to complete the project, then the state will negotiate on extensions, but they want to see continuous progress.
Sure. Okay. And has it started, or what's the beginning timeframe?
The developer has secured a contractor to address asbestos abatement, and I think that work is intended to start September 11th, subject to approval of development agreements.
Okay, well, that's good.
It'll be nice to watch something on Main Street happen.
Yeah. Thank you on your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's not really dragging his feet or anything. There's a lot of procedural
Right.
stuff that has to happen and project initiation and all these things. So he's doing great.
Environmental thing that took forever.
Do you need a
Yes.
motion on this?
Yeah, I think so.
I make a motion to approve the following documents related to the CDBGR DR housing grant. Authorize the mayor to sign them.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience and waiting. Agenda item number 8, discuss and possible motion to rent the annex building to Bradford Companies.
Hi guys, how are ya?
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'll let you introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
hi, I'm James Rosnell. I'm the CFO for Next Generation Wireless. Our owner, Bill Bradford, couldn't be here tonight. We're based out of Cedar Falls, and we're an agent for US Cellular. We've been an agent for over 20 years, and we have 19 locations in Iowa and Illinois. US Cellular has asked us to come into this market and open a location. And we didn't have a lot of lead time on this. We're currently operating over on the west side of town on a trailer. We need to get out of there as soon as possible. We need to get a brick and mortar location. And we found the annex spot we think would be a great spot for us. We can kind of obviously we're trying to get into something as quick as possible. And it's really,
Yeah, we kind of combed through all of the potential vacancies downtown and nothing's really a great fit. And then it dawned on me that the city owns this building now and it might be put to good use and, the city can recoup the utility side of it. And so we kind of worked together, showed them the property. Steve joined us and it just seems like it would be a good spot to have that type of business for the parking side of it, but also to start sprucing up maybe that section of our downtown as well. So that's why we're here.
We've met twice now. There's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing because US Cellular has to have some kind of a agreement, a letter of intent or a lease set up before they'll start designing the build out for the building. So we don't know what they're going to want to do in there. But this step would just be saying if all these things, then
We'll move forward.
we just don't know what they're going to want as far as moving walls, outlets, carpeting, and
So I think the biggest thing tonight is to see if the council would be willing to entertain leasing that annex building out, basically, so that we can move forward on their end.
So we as a city might incur some expenses then to accommodate what their needs may be. Is that what you're saying, Steve? Moving walls and carpeting and so on?
that could be an outcome. We just don't know what their expectations are. We have some kind of lower cost options, and then if they wanted to do like a full blown renovation, then we'd obviously have to figure out something. We talk.
raise the lease.
We just don't know. We don't know what they're going to want or expect. So
Yeah.
the footprint now is roughly the size of the building. There's a hallway and there's a classroom, a couple of additional rooms, storage and so forth. And what James has indicated to me is that they really enjoy having an open floor plan, and we have a big room right in the middle of the building. So it would be whether or not we need to remove part of that room, all of that room, a wall, two wall. So I guess we just wanted to present this so we could hopefully encourage the business to come into town, and then we can move on to the next step.
Well, I'm kind of looking, I read through the lease and stuff and was looking through the rent, just a few questions, or not really questions, just concerns. Most commercial property rents 75 cents to $1 a square foot. So,
I would say that where it's at currently in there is mid to high on most of the buildings that we're renting downtown right now. So we're anywhere from 250 to 750 is that going rate. here
When
in
Kate
town.
and I talked,
it's
so like
about
the,
plain.
Absolutely,
the-
It's about plain.
right.
Yeah.
the
But we're
medical,
not
the,
Yeah.
the medical building is similar price per square foot. That's what we had been leasing, that it's very close.
I just think for 1,500 square foot, $500 a month is too cheap. Especially if we have to renovate it.
That's my only concern too.
We just don't know.
If we sign this agreement for 500, there's no wiggle room in that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, legally, if you sign a lease.
Well,
That's
there was a lease in here, but I think kind of what I'm hearing here is that,
We're just whether or not we're
Yeah.
open, because
Yeah.
they don't even have the contract
I
necessarily.
haven't seen a lease.
No, okay.
It's kind of one of those things where you gotta put something on paper so you got someplace to start.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you don't know what you're even looking at.
Typically, we would do an LOI, where you're not locked in anything, come to terms that, okay, if it's this is what we're good with. And, it doesn't have to be the full lease, but something in a 500, if you don't think that's fair, what do you propose would be fair?
I think the fear is just us putting a lot of upfront money and having to renovate that space. We don't, looking down the road, we don't anticipate that part of the building as far as what the future ideas that we talked about.
Correct.
I mean, the benefit is that it's entry level, it's easy for everybody to get there.
It has ADA compliant restrooms.
Right. I mean, that's the positive thing for all ages as far as people getting in there. Whatever's happened with the past business, I know that's the elephant in the room, and might as well talk about it. That really doesn't have anything to do with us or with any
No.
of that. That has to do with the prior business and the prior agreement.
Exactly.
So let's just get that out there so
Yep.
that everyone.
No one had knowledge of
understands.
that until the paper hit the wall.
Exactly, so that, you guys don't need to be the fall guys in this. This is just a new contract that's
Yep.
available
Exactly.
for us to put this. So I think we just need to make sure we keep this as a positive spin, that we need this business in
Absolutely.
town.
100%.
Because there's tons of people that are using the service and potential new customers.
Mhm.
So that's the critical part that we need to talk about. I'm okay with it as long as we don't have a huge upfront surprise cost to the city, because having the city be a landlord is kind of always a little weird thing to me. I don't like to be in competition with other businesses and private owners, but there is this opportunity. It is a very good location for everybody.
Mhm.
So I'm, as long as we don't have a huge upfront expense, or if we do, then maybe we have to bump to cover that, and we can write that into a lease for 2 years to cover the thing. It goes, and then it goes back down or something like that. And if that is agreeable with you guys, then, we could write that in.
Yeah, I mean,
Before
I think
the
we
ink's
can
dry.
look at the lease at another time.
yeah.
I was assuming,
No, I think we just want to say, if
I was
we're
assuming this is
okay,
the
let's
lease,
let's
get it
open
going.
the door
That's
here
fine.
and let's get everyone rolling.
The 500 is middle of the road here, though.
But that was, I was assuming this is the
Yeah.
lease, let's.
That's
get
the
it
number
going.
that was
I mean,
thrown
I'm
out.
all for.
Yeah.
the-
And you guys have
this
multiple
project.
businesses, I think, I read like 20 locations?
19.
Yeah, this will be 19 for
Yeah,
us.
okay.
One thing
And we're a top agent for US Cellular. We,
Yeah.
you know, we want to be here. We want to we hear the feedback. Customers in this area, they really miss not having a place to go.
Yeah. So it's a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, and we want to try to take care of that as soon as we can possibly get it done.
And
So
not,
if it-
and not to try and take advantage of one customer or one person over another, but you keep on saying this is the middle of the road. I think we as a city need to evaluate, is this prime or is this lower real estate? And if it's not in the middle of the road real estate, we need to maybe be on the higher end of that.
they looked at, there was an option that was a higher price point and that wasn't gonna work for them.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to say before I forgot we are responsible to house the adult high school completion through Kirkwood. So if anybody's listening out there, that would just move into the main building and it would be in one room, and that's our agreement with Kirkwood.
Sure.
So that would not be leaving town. It would just move to the next building.
That's good.
That's fine. That's all set up there. So.
And then a couple other things we could, you know, we understand there could be some build out costs, whatever it is, and we could go, you know, 50-50 on a sharing that or whatever. We want to be fair and equitable, but you know, we're willing to have some.
I mean, it's just an unknown. I don't want to leave it out there where now all of a sudden we've got a $15,000 bill because we've got to do all this stuff inside. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, we've
really
talked
what we
about
wanna
that,
get
yeah.
into. So
We
that's
understand that
something
too.
that I think we just need to talk that out so we're all on the same page with this, so there's no surprises. But I'm in favor of moving ahead with this. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
we're supportive of
Sure.
the idea.
So what you'd need is a letter of intent from us soon.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we can get an LOI, the better, and then we can get.
Traditionally, what a store this size, how many employees do you normally have? Just ballpark.
Typically 4
Okay.
or 5, 4 associates,
Right.
4 to 5.
And so will those people, you look for new hires that come in, or you looking for people that will transfer here from other locations?
We're looking for anybody that we
Okay.
can hire. I mean,
Okay.
We have a store, and we, you know, have no
Right,
associates.
that's a positive.
Former
thing.
associates,
Absolutely.
anybody we can get hired, we're in hiring mode.
Okay.
But we, also, it's hard right now because, you know, we're in a trailer, you know, so it's not ideal for anybody right now, even customers, and, you know, we don't have enough employees to staff it fully right now, so.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a kind of a standard lease document in our packet, and I just think that, as Steve explained, you know, it's kind of like chicken and egg in a way. But you're suggesting a
Letter of intent.
letter of
Yeah.
intent, and you could work with our, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, then the lease agreement would probably follow this kind of general form, but depending on what the proposal is, it would be modified in certain areas. I think that's what we do. I don't know. We can't do a motion to rent at this point, but I think we can do a motion to support and proceed with.
To draft a letter
To
of
draft,
intent.
to draft the letter of intent.
Mhm.
And then we can work together with US Cellular's franchise design team to see how we can fit this in there, or what they are going to require.
And then-
Then we will know if what build out, what things they need, what they don't
Right.
need. That's a non-starter. We have to have an LOI before we can even have that conversation.
I can get a rep in the space probably too, which.
That'd be helpful.
So,
Good. It's great.
but yeah, the sooner the better, for us.
So do we need a motion to proceed with the letter of intent and so forth?
I'll make a motion to move with the letter of intent for the annex building to Bradford Companies.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. When I first looked up your company, I thought, oh my gosh, we're gonna get a motorcycle franchise down there.
Something
So
with
that's his
wheels.
second.
You never
You
know.
get this, and then
Yeah,
that's the
so
second thing we want.
the owner, we just bought a power sports business in
Yeah.
Fargo.
Yeah, we need that here.
Yeah, so
I got a building.
he's
to
looking to
go back to.
expand that too.
Put that, when you're with him, put that bug in your ear.
Yeah.
There's a market here, because I'm looking for
He
a.
said he'll deliver. So,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, except for me. You don't want one though.
Agenda item number 9, discuss proposed construction project for 10th Avenue culvert and possible motion to proceed with the project. I understand that Jay's gonna fill us in on that.
Oh, there's not a lot to fill in. We just need a culvert on 10th Avenue. Sandy put a number in there before I got the price of the culvert. Actually, the price of the culvert went down a little bit since last time I priced it. And I believe we're gonna be right around the 23 to 24,000 mark on that. And that's kind of where it's at.
Is this going to the school? Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's closed currently.
We got, it's about a 2-month delay by the time they build it and we get it. It's 50-foot long and it's called an arch culvert. So the bottom is flat and then it ovals because we don't have enough coverage over the top. So we got to shrink it down to get it in the bottom of the creek. And then I been in touch with Benton County. They've kind of helped me, secondary roads, and they're willing to come help me set it, lay it in there, and any grading I might need, they'll kind of coach me along, and I just think it'd be a good idea.
Is that a concrete one or?
No, it's galvanized.
Okay.
What's the lifespan on those? 100 years?
If you, actually, if you went with it's called a polymer product, it's like, I don't know if it's painted or what it is, but they do go to about 100 years on them, but probably 50, I suppose.
So
on what we're
a lot
doing.
left.
That one was probably put in on the school. I think it was put in,
Gage will still go, I remember when that.
it was probably new with the school.
Yeah. that would've been-
And the only reason it really had problems is because we had a lot of heavy trucks after the
So-
derecho.
It'll last longer because we don't have bus traffic on it maybe, or will we still have bus traffic?
The bus traffic wasn't so bad, it's just those like really loaded trucks,
Okay.
and that's what, but we didn't have a choice.
Probably won't. I mean,
But it's over 50
For no
years
reason.
old now.
Yeah, right.
in with the
Yeah,
schools.
I'm just saying if they're saying 50-year lifespan, if we're not having a lot of traffic over it, maybe that's a little bit longer lifespan or,
a lot of the lifespan is keeping the abutments and the riprap, tucked
Mhm.
in. Because what happened on them, a lot of the water shot down the sides,
okay.
got under the culvert,
Undermined
and
it.
kind of rotted it. So if you keep the water shooting through
Mhm.
the culvert instead of around it, I think we can
It'll help.
we'll get quite a few years out of it.
Okay.
So what kind of diameter is this?
It's an 84-inch,
But it's probably about 5 foot tall,
about 8 foot this way.
shaped like this.
Yeah. That's why I asked for the diameter,
Yeah.
because
I wouldn't want to go too much smaller than that from, the county kind of measured up the watershed, and that's, he wouldn't go no smaller, he said. So, and the one that there's 40 foot, they'll go up to 50 foot with no, it won't have no sections. There'll be one section 50 foot, so we're going 10 foot longer, and hopefully we can build our abutments a little bit better.
Well, the one that's in there's 2 pieces, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a 2-piece there. Yep, it's got a band on it.
Yeah. And the water actually got into that too and went through that where it was.
So this is better all the way around then,
Mhm.
basically.
Fun project.
Yeah,
So,
be perfect time. There's no water in there.
yeah. There, you may not need it, John.
Yeah. But Sandy kind of figured out where we could use the money, and I guess it's up to you guys.
what we do.
When did you say that you plan on starting this?
It'd be, if I ordered it right away, it'd take, he said about 2 months to get it here, built and get it here. So it'd be probably
Better vote while Lyle's gone.
November sometime. hopefully.
Perfect.
So we've got two parts here, I guess.
Okay, you'll need a motion for each part.
Yeah, we need a motion to proceed, which I think we probably are all in agreement that it's a good thing to do. And then the resolution is for the source of funds. So
I'll make a motion to proceed with the project.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. And agenda item number 10 is discuss for possible approval, resolution 230901, a resolution approving usage of ARPA funds for culvert replacement on 10th Avenue.
And in the, like Jay said, he originally had a higher number when we started, and I have a tendency to round up, just because I don't want to have to keep coming back, nickel and diamond. So I threw 30,000 in there. Maybe you don't want to go with a number that big. It doesn't mean we have to spend 30,000 just because that's what the resolution says. It just means the town will come back.
Well,
We
if that's
have
where
to
you're
come
at,
back.
let's just say there. Just
Yeah.
Because you said it's gonna be what, 24?
I'm gonna say 24. I come up with 23 and a half, so, you know, I got quite a bit of rock figured in there just because I don't know what kind of material it's backfilled with. So if it's like crap, I'm not gonna use it, but if it's usable, I'll reuse that. That's gonna take our rock consumption down quite a bit.
let's just say at the 30.
Yeah. Because there could be hidden costs once
Yeah,
you dig it out.
Well,
One thing I haven't, figured is, you know, like the guardrails. I don't know how it's gonna lay out, so I really don't know what I wanna use on that.
Yeah.
And this is a street that we may end up connecting with the medical clinic at some point, so that stuff will be a variable. So,
I'm having a hard time finding this in here.
I don't want it either. It's right in
It's right
front of
there.
the fairground contract.
Because I was wanting to, is it currently worded up to?
yes,
Is it currently worded up
yes,
to?
not to exceed
Not
30,000.
to
Yeah, so.
And then down below it says up to 30,000. So you need a motion? I'll make a motion for approval of resolution 230901.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep.
Oh, and,
You're not going over yet.
oh, you're,
more to come.
okay.
I need you on there.
I'll just reserve my comments then. Okay. Agenda item number 11, discuss for possible approval an engineering contract with Fairgram on proposed demolition project for the Herring Hotel.
So Jay came to us, I don't know, probably a few weeks ago and said, we really need to take some action on this building. People broke into it. There's
Property's gone.
taking stuff out of it. Not that we care that the stuff's gone, but it's dangerous for people to be in there. Stuff keeps falling off the outside. Not sure I'm really comfortable continuing to wait until, you know, we can jump through 100 more hoops. Hey, I got this quote, just had somebody look at it. It's not near as bad as we thought it would be. It's still a lot of money. This quote was like $173,000. So I went to the League of Cities inquiring about steps, you know, whether we had to post things, what we have to do. In that process, I found out we actually have to hire an engineer to do a plan for the project. I was like, no, not construction, it's demolition. And he's like, yep, you still gotta have an engineer. So, in talking to Jay, we figured out how we would like it to work. I approached our engineer, Fair Graham, asked them if this is something that they can do for us, how bad it would be, what's involved. They've done it before, lots of other times, no big deal to them. So this is their proposal for engineering services just specifically for this project. Jennifer reviewed it, made a few comments on the general conditions. The number 12, where it says shall remain property of the consultant. I talked to Nate about that comment, and he said the city also has ownership. Clause simply is to clarify that they also retain ownership. We get provided all the files, plans, documentation, everything as requested. Basically the same way when we did the general contract, that was another comment that was made at that time. So that was that. One of the other comments that she had made was under 17, which talked about their liability limit. Considering they're getting paid $4,000 and they'll take $50,000 worth of liability. It's up to you guys, whatever you think about it. He just said that's their standard. That's what they put in every contract that they have of this type.
What do you mean by they'll take 50,000?
If they propose something incorrectly and it costs us, they would.
They're only liable.
They're only liable for the first
Okay.
50,000.
Alright.
If
So-
it costs more than that, it's on us.
So
We're taking it down, so I don't know how much you can do from it.
on her comment, number 17, my reaction was, is that just a rewording? Because
I
it
think
seems
it's
to
just
say
that,
the
I think
same
she
thing.
just wanted us to be aware.
Just
Be aware there's a limit as to how much they're gonna
Okay.
cover. Not that we have to change anything, not that she's even recommending we change something, just be
Mhm.
aware.
So like number 12 was an action item,
Number 12 is an action
and
item.
17 was just hey,
Hey.
just be aware,
Yeah.
I'm pointing this out, okay?
Yeah. And then on 22, if, God forbid, we had to take it to court for something, they had Lynn County, she'd like it changed to Benton. They had no problem with that, and he will change that if that's something we also done.
On our regular contract, I think we had
We
Lynn.
changed it to Benton there too.
So any discussion on this, any questions?
What is the
Okay.
time frame that contractor tackle this if it goes forward?
Well, that's one thing with using the publicly bid it.
Okay,
So we're gonna have to wait for bids, but we're kind of hoping like end of November, December,
Yeah,
maybe.
so, Nate gave me just kind of obviously not something to hold them to, but his kind of rough idea about timing. He said by the middle of September, they would hopefully have the bid letting available and be sending that out, asking for bids to come in. He assured me that they would send it to the person who actually we got a bid from,
Yep.
but we can't just say we want them to do it.
Uh-huh.
It has to be public letting.
correct.
So they'll do that. He said probably they'd give it till maybe first, second week of October to come back, so that the second meeting in October, you guys would be voting on it
Uh-huh.
to accept so-and-so as a contractor at such and such price. And then depending on contractor availability, when they have time, he could envision it could probably be down by maybe Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I kind of got the impression that he thought that's about as fast as you can expect it to go.
I can kind of give you a scope of how this all come about. The neighbor called and said more stuff had fell off the back, so I went over there and I looked around and went in there. Then I see a pile of tools where they're cutting the copper out and stuff. And the more I look at it, I thought, man, we gotta move. So I called one of my local guys, and he referred me to this other guy.
Mhm.
And he goes, I got kind of a crazy abatement guy. Do you care if I have him come look, for the asbestos? And I said, no, more welcome. So we come out and, he goes, I could do the basement, the lobby, the second floor, but he goes, the third floor, I don't want my guys in there. I said, I totally understand. So then, just for, so now it's basically what they call rack 'em, where it all comes down and,
Because he also said, sorry, he said it's not worth abating the basement, the first and the second floor, if you're gonna let the third floor dump anyway.
yeah.
Which was kind of our strategy because you had to treat the whole thing like a piece of asbestos at that
Yeah.
point.
So between talking to them guys over there that day and kind of how things work and should work, and it's like, honestly, I don't know if I have enough staff to, I mean, if it was just taken down, I'd be all in, but there's a little bit more to it.
Well, at least you're taking action on it and we're being active on it. And I think it needs to happen. So
I do too.
I appreciate that.
It just, it's not good.
That's just a testament to Jay's research. He just found, like, I had been looking at this and it was going to be at least double.
Are we
or
still
more.
going to let, I know there's a couple of groups that want to, has that stuff been taken out of there, or are we going to just
No,
allow
we'll
them
have
to take it?
we'll have to get that plan in motion.
Yeah.
And I know that Johnny Dorad has, offered to help
You just have to have a place to put it.
and just, yeah. And we'll find a storage unit or we'll find some place to be able to store. I mean, there's two pieces that I know the museum would like to have if the city's willing. And we've got space in our basement to immediately put that.
My fear is if he says people are stealing, I think the sooner the better.
Yeah.
That stuff is out of there.
Yeah.
Although they did leave us some tools.
Yeah.
That's good.
But, let's see, where was I gonna go with this? So when I was talking to the contractor, I told him there's a few things I'd like to do yet. I'd like to just have him take it down. I want to remove the basement and haul the fill in because I already have the dirt, the clay. And, we've capped the sewer, water, and he was totally okay with that. So that was probably about, he thought maybe 15 to 20,000 we'd save. It'd be that much more on the bid. And so hopefully with,
So yeah, when I talked to Nate, I told him that, I said, we want to do these things.
Mhm.
So we want to get apples to apples bids. So they're gonna frame the
Yeah,
exactly how Jay wanted it done, so. It's good. Yeah.
I wasn't real happy that day,
No, this is the one, yeah.
but, it
But you
just,
didn't throw anything at me.
it's just, I don't know, there's things we can do and there's things we can't.
Well, the time frame.
That's understanding the limitations, but it's also for safety,
Right.
Yeah.
for everything. So I think that's the right move.
And the time of year is great because it's not going to be freezing because we have to keep water on it all the time.
And it's still being proactive. So I mean, you're still doing what the citizens and us ask. So it's still positive. That's for sure.
So, yeah, we need to approve the engineering contract with Fear Graham on proposed demolition for the Herring Hotel if we are so inclined to go in that direction.
I'll motion for approval of the engineering contract with Fear Graham. Do we need to take action on the things that our attorney suggested?
Probably just that Lynn of Benton County.
You said they were gonna change that.
Property of
They
the
were going
city
to, yeah.
and the property of the city too, for the plan.
Yeah,
Okay, with the
I haven't
two,
reworded it, it's just
With
wording.
with the proposed changes.
yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, none. Agenda item number 12, discuss for possible approval, resolution 230902, a resolution approving usage of ARPA funds for a portion of the demolition renovation project for the Herring Hotel.
So we do have some money set aside for, hotel. 43,000, something like that we have. We don't really know for sure 100% what the project's gonna be, but, you know, we know even the original bid that we had was like 173. It's be 177. So this might be a little on the high side, but I just don't know what the actual bids are gonna come in at yet. So again, I just tried to pick a nice round number. You know, if it exceeded that, it'll have to come back to you guys anyway.
Yeah.
So if it exceeds it, we can expense our labor and materials and stuff out of there too.
I don't know. So is there a motion for resolution 230902?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 290302.
Wait a minute, can you say that again?
230902.
Read it again.
230902.
No, seriously. You said 2903. Read it again.
Did I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 230902.
Back to the future.
I can't believe it. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Evidently, he's gonna wait those 6 years while the culvert gets put in.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
So, the house on 909 9th Avenue, we're working on, it's got some asbestos in it, I'm waiting to get abated. But it's definitely, as soon as that gets abated, then, it'll be down right away.
9th Avenue?
Yeah.
909 9th Avenue.
Oh, the white one?
Yeah.
Is that,
Okay.
is that one's right by Gills?
No.
No, that's
down a
further
block.
south.
Farther
Down a
south.
block.
Yeah.
It's right across from where Raj used to live.
It's got one wall in there that's got plaster or asbestos in it, so I gotta get that abated, and then once he gets that done, then we'll move ahead, so. It looks pretty trashy, I just want to let you know we're on it, just.
Did you already do the garage?
No, I haven't yet, no. I can do that, we got the culvert in down at, 13th and
First Street. yeah.
First Street. So I gotta get down and get the concrete put back over that. And,
Did you pick up the new truck?
yeah,
Oh, God, yes.
it's been in.
Nice.
It's been in use.
Excellent. Good. Good to hear.
No, it worked out good. They had pretty good lighting on it, which worked good for us the other night down there on the highway.
Yeah, good. Excellent.
How did you stumble upon that leak? I heard that was a
Valve.
a valve.
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
It, actually Denny Grider called me and said, you got a little bit of water coming out of a box. And I said, well, it's gotta be groundwater. And he said, no, I don't think so. Not dry as it is. So we went down there and pulled the lid, and naturally the water was boiling up. And then, we didn't know what it was for sure. And we started there, and luckily we got down, and the bolts on the valve were rotted, and then it started separating. So it wasn't a real gusher at the time, but if the top would have come off, we would have had a real gusher. But I just don't like taking a lot of time on the highway, because you get undermining that, it gets pretty expensive fast, because they don't play around too good. They don't want the road tore up.
So this started about 2:30 in the afternoon on the Friday, beginning of holiday weekend.
Right.
That's like a theme we have going on
Yeah.
here.
Uh-huh.
And I went down and watched, and I left at 9:30, and they were just leaving to come and put gravel in. They were gonna dump some dirt and put gravel in, and I don't know how long you all were there.
We did have Roto come, and I had Doug bring a couple guys, because I knew it wasn't in a good spot, and it was a little hard to control the flow, and it was pretty interesting for a little while.
Well, if you wouldn't have had those guys there, it would have taken a while. I
Yeah,
think.
Dave was on his way.
yeah, I made my first cut and the water come up really fast. I was glad to,
Was Roto-Rooter already there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was good.
yeah, they were ready to suck, but it's like, we got,
Thanks.
Thank you, Jane.
Number 13, agenda item number 13, police report, Chief Hudson.
Okay, so you have your activity report from you at 272 calls for service last month. Of those, according to this, 25 ordinance violations, I think kind of 29. Few of them must not get in there, but 3 of them were cited for non-compliance or failed to obey. Found out actually, I emailed Steve, I emailed the mayor, I think we need to take proactive action on 2 of those properties. One is at 1310 10th Avenue. And the other one's on 14th Street, right across the road. Can't remember the house. Both of them involve, tall weeds, volunteer trees, a very large tree over the 10th Avenue property. I know Dennis Weiss was contacted by the owner, and he flat out told him no, he's not going to touch it. He can't even get close to it because the yard is so grown with trees. And he's been up there. The waterworks guys have been up there. Can't get close to anything in that yard. So it's, property owner's not going to take care of it. I think he's starting to try to because I've been up there, but I think he needs to be on ball with that. Let's see, what else do I have?
The side yard is like this on both. It's so
Yeah,
steep.
it's up on a hill. It looks to me like the guy bought the house, moved in, and just never mowed, and it's just full of trees, full of volunteer trees. I've applied for Garrison East grant here a while back. I'm waiting for a response for equipment. Specifically radar, speed detection equipment for our vehicles. Ours are getting to the point where I'm having to send them in for repairs a little more frequently, and I really don't want to spend money on those. I'd rather put some new models in there. Also on the agenda, there's hiring bonus incentives. This is just an idea I want to bounce off you guys, see what you think. Typically when we're hiring, we don't attract certified people. We have in the past, but it's getting to the point where it's so hard to even get an application, a viable applicant for these positions. And it's not just Belle Plaine, it's all over the place. A lot of places are offering hiring bonuses. I don't know if that's something we want to look at. I've seen some places offering 5,000. Other places are offering more. I think the way those work is like a stair step. You don't just write them a check for the amount. Obviously, you give them a portion of it the first year, upon completion of their first year, and so on. I think it's a mixed bag of results too. Some places have seen success with it, and some haven't. But I think it'd be worth at least looking at that option. I've currently got 2 guys that need to go to the academy, and right now they're both slated to go in January, which is going to leave me with 2 people. So,
What's the status of the current opening?
where I'm moving forward with testing and minimum hiring qualifications. So that's promising. So maybe we'll get lucky and hire number 3. But worst case scenario, might only have 2 people after the first of the year. Best case, maybe 3. So it's gonna be tough to do. And then I'm trying to put together a holiday with a cop thing or shop with a cop, but I'm having some difficulties getting Walmart on board with it. But I'm working on it, so I don't see the problem. They for some reason think that it's going to be a big to-do with the news media there and all this stuff. And I said it's going to be maybe 2 or 3 police out there, about 5 or 6, maybe 8 kids at the most. So hopefully with a little luck, they'll let me do that this year, so we can do our own rather than partnering and going on board with other departments and shortchanging our kids in our own town. We've been able to take a few up there, but I'd like to do more, so. And that's what I got for you.
Chris, are other towns in our area, or maybe even outside our area, about our size, are they doing the hiring bonuses? And you said it's kind of a mixed bag with the response.
I don't know. I haven't checked with any of the neighboring ones. I just know that, from what I've read and heard locally here in Iowa and through some of the emails, that some places do offer them and they've seen a little success, and some say no, it didn't really help get any more applications. So, anyway.
Well, I think we should probably look into that further and get some more information.
I can do that. I can try to pull some other towns in a little bit.
Yeah.
See what they're offering, if anything, and if they've seen success or not, whatever, I don't know.
Well, and success would be defined as both more applications and
Well, I mean, the
people
goal,
staying longer.
the goal of it would be attracting a certified person that's,
Right.
at City Academy.
Right.
I think some places, offer, if they've got 5 years experience, that kind of ups the ante, because you're essentially buying that person to work here, so.
Right.
How much does it cost the city to send someone to academy?
Well, I mean, the tuition
19
and,
grand?
yeah, I mean, with wages
19.
and all of that stuff, yeah, you're looking at 20 grand easy.
Okay, so there could be a potential big savings if we were able to hire a certified officer, even though we would offer them a hiring bonus
Right.
compared to the 19.
Right.
Okay.
But we do get some of that money back from sending them to the academy. Correct.
If they.
If they leave.
If they leave.
100 or 250 a month, you get it back.
And that's if they pay, otherwise you have to go through the cost of
Pursuing them.
pursuing it. Which another community I work for has had that exact issue.
But they successfully.
They did,
Okay.
after about $7,000-8,000 in legal fees.
Are they able to charge that person with that, or is the city stuck with that?
It's the cost of doing business.
Wow.
Not that this is probably it's either yours or yours, I'm not sure, but the siren that went off last Saturday morning, I just want to go on record. Tyler said that I voted for it to go off at 3 a.m, and I did not.
I called
That was just, that had been just a fluke or something.
Yeah,
Program.
And it was only one, I think.
It was
Yeah,
just
it
I
was
one.
can hear.
It was one.
I went outside and out by the school, towards
Yeah.
that way.
So I called the guys and kind of told them about that. And I said, I'm going to kind of monitor it because it just has never happened. And there's just like a certain radio frequency. I mean, it's a very specific radio frequency that will set it off.
Is that one of the new ones?
And he said, yeah, he said, well, when I talked to Scott Hansen that morning, he said that one time it was like Van Horn or Newhall or something had the same exact frequency as Newton, and something just happened to be right in the atmosphere at the time. And that frequency carried all the way over there and set all their sirens, or some of them. And it was just,
Somebody that told me that right around the same time, there was one that went in Florida. A day or two later, something, I don't know. Interesting. Technology is not perfect.
No, it's not. That's right.
I'm glad it wasn't in the middle of the night.
Anything else?
But those new ones are loud.
I wish the mayor was here, but I think it's been 2 weeks ago, he and I took a little tour of our town. And I showed him a few areas that I think, that I was looking at as far as the nuisance abatement and some of the areas. There was a gentleman that came to the last council meeting. I was not here. It was home with food poisoning, enjoying that. But I felt it was necessary to show the mayor what those issues specifically were. And as well as a few other problematic areas in town. And, a couple of those were these that I already told you about, that I think we need to be on the ball with and trying to take care of. Whether it's with a court order or not, I don't know. That's a gauge question. But both of those have been, they pled guilty in court, but we don't have a court order to do it. So
So I mean, if they have pled guilty to the nuisance, then, you know, the city has, my understanding is that the policy of the city has always been that we want a court order to go in and remove anything that could potentially be of value, like junk vehicle. But if it's, you know, scraps and mowing yards and things like that, the city is authorized to abate those nuisances. So it's kind of a, I guess, case by case basis as well.
Well, these two would be, there'd be no tangible property, it's all vegetation, but there's gonna be some cost incurred,
Right.
especially with the tree.
Yeah.
And, I mean, would it be out of line to send those property owners a letter saying, hey, if you don't have this taken care of in 30 days, we're coming, we're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly, the city could make it the policy of sending the copy of the code or the ordinance saying that the city has the right to abate and it's at your cost. Put them on notice, you know, the more notice, the better. The court's not gonna balk at giving too much notice if there's ever an issue down the road. So, yeah, we can send them like, just give me a list of good properties and I'll send them. And then since, I guess we're on the topic of nuisance abatement, both applications for default have been sent to the court for the Carlson property and the two OP properties, so we're just waiting on a court order at this point.
We've got a lot of complaints about the Carlson property this summer.
We can't even really mow it.
Right.
I mean, it's-
People are being very vocal about it. The door's wide open, I mean.
Yeah, that guy came in once and the owner and we never, I guess he decided that it'd be better if he never came back again.
Well, if he knows that it's more money.
What did you call it?
Court order. So it could be tomorrow, could be 2 weeks, I don't know.
And you filed that a long time. I mean, it's been a month or so, wasn't it?
Well, that's when we filed the notice of intent to file a written application for default, and then we have to give them another 10 business days.
That's right. Okay.
And then we did the follow-up.
And this is 657A policy.
So the intention is that the city will acquire title to all three of those properties.
Jake, go to town.
Only one of them is going to be kind of normal to tear down. The other two are going to be tricky.
Wait till winter.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chief.
Chris.
Agenda item number 14, approve the appointment of Tyler Gallagher to the Belle Plaine Community Library Board of Trustees due to the resignation of Greg Johnson, term to expire July 2026. Any discussion on that? Pretty self-explanatory. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Tyler Gallagher to the Belle Plaine Community Library Board of Trustees.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Agenda item number 15, consideration of a motion to approve a 2023-2024 cigarette license for October through June for Family Dollar, 509 13th Street.
Does that go by fiscal year? Is that why?
Yeah, I asked that question.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
the
that's a
the
weird.
state always does theirs July 1st to June 30th. And then if you start any time later than that, you have to pay by the quarter. So. Three quarters half.
So this would imply that sometime during the fourth calendar quarter that they would be up and running.
Yeah, that would be the assumption.
When's their slated open date?
Sometime between October and December.
That'd be October.
They're paying for the fourth quarter.
Right.
I don't know.
Need a motion?
Yeah, I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve 2023-2024 cigarette license for October through June for Family Dollar.
there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Agenda item number 16, discuss for possible approval renewal of a Class E liquor license, Class C beer permit, Class B wine permit with Sunday sales for Casey's General Store. Any problems there, Chris?
Does the county ever send people in anymore to like check for under? Yeah. I was just curious because I've never, I mean, knock on wood, I've never seen violations in town listed.
Many people are pretty careful.
That's good.
Yeah. Need a motion.
Move to approve renewal of a Class C liquor license, Class C beer permit, Class B wine permit with Sunday sales for Casey's in Belfast.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
See, I told you, I can't do that.
Passes 5-0. Now, agenda item number 17, I didn't bring my amended list here, so all I've got is Catholics and Tootsie Rolls.
Really, that's all you need to know. Whenever they want, sure,
Yeah.
knock yourselves out.
This is my copy.
It's moved
I
from,
didn't-
it's
I
moved
didn't-
from September 9th
I
to
didn't
the
know I
next
was doing
weekend.
this tonight, so I just thought, well, that'll, it's
Yeah.
towards the end, so I just wrote in there.
Evidently, they want to watch the game,
I was gonna say, why are they changing it? Anybody know?
Iowa State game.
No, it's not. They're changing it because of Intersort.
Oh, sure.
So agenda item number 17 officially is discuss for possible approval the request from Knights of Columbus to move their Tootsie Roll Drive collection from Saturday, September 9th to Saturday, September 16th.
I move to approve the request from the Knights of Columbus to move their Tootsie Roll Drive from Saturday, September 9th to Saturday, September 16th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 5-0. So agenda item number 18, city administrators report, update on current projects.
Okay. So regarding water projects, namely the water treatment facility, I've been handing off a lot of things that I was working on, preliminary stuff, to Nate. So I got him with Greg Brennan with Iowa State that I was working with for some of these things. He's been going through the water test analysis with the State Hygienic Lab. Since the well field is in Tama County and Benton County, we have to play with both of those entities when it comes to well field stuff. So we do have that grant, and we have to work on that kind of simultaneously, but that's going to be kind of several hops away, whereas the water treatment facilities going to be full court press on that. So, and Nate has been delegating some of the stuff off even to some of his other engineers too, so we can just keep that momentum going. So a lot of those things, wheels are in motion. A lot of the next steps aren't just one thing at a time. It's like 10 things at a time. So one of those was we're going to be needing to update our PER, which was what was submitted to the USDA, the preliminary engineering report, because they don't have what we need on there. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. So they know what we want to do, and they're not, you know what I mean? We want them to know what we want to do. So that's going to be a thing that he and I are going to be working on together. As far as one of the funding mechanisms, I talked to Nate today about USDA direct versus USDA guaranteed financing, how some of the grant stuff works there. We also talked about SRF, and I sent him some of the information that I had from SRF, from guidance from that, and he's running with the ball on that one. One of the funding mechanisms that would be nice to use for our treatment plant facility is TIF funding. So that would be for, we have the TIF district, which is the whole downtown, like the entrance of town into the downtown and the north side. And we've had some buildings built. We're going to be having some buildings renovated. And Sandy and I met with Dorsey from Des Moines. We had a telecom or a phone call with them, and we kind of just hashed out rough ideas on what we wanted to do. And then they said, all right, next step for you is to talk to Heidi Kuhl from Northland Securities, the funding lady. And the reason that I think it's prudent to look at this is because if we can use the tax increment from like the Dollar General building, that was pretty much a vacant lot, and now it's $1 million+ building. We can take all the property tax, or the majority of the property tax from that, and fund a project with it. And if we can grab a few of these things, because it's one of our only economic development tools, we can make a loan payment, certify that to debt, and pay off part of a loan so that we don't have to raise the water bill, the utility bills that high. So that, I think everybody would be in agreement that that's a good thing to investigate. It will cost us a little bit of money, like when we did the TIF district for the northeast side for the Oak project. And this would be similar to that. So we're going to be seeing valuations increase in that area that's had some activity. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted the Dollar General built in this area. And so it's going to take a little while to get there. Nate is on board with that. And it's not going to pay for everything, but it'll pay for something. And I'm hoping we can get that shoved, fit in perfect, however we can do that. Let's see. And that's a lot of the stuff I've been working on. I just wanted to thank the whole Public Works crew and for the water leak on the holiday weekend. And Jay and the guys did a good job on the streets that we were able to afford to do this year. I think we stretched that dollar pretty far.
Is the water leak, do you think that's what caused, there was a lot of social media buzz on bad water and discoloration. Do you think that's what caused?
That's always a culprit.
But I don't know where these people lived, if they all lived in one area. I just tried to communicate to some of them in a private message and saying, when you have that, call City Hall and tell them so that we have a map as to where it's going, because if there's a water main leak or a problem and all you're doing is going on social media, the city can't resolve the problem.
And that was like the siren thing. That's how that came to me, was someone messaged me from that, but I don't check that very often and I don't look at a lot of that stuff. So
Especially not on Saturday morning.
I wasn't able to take action as fast as I would like to have done, just to get like what's the root cause of this problem. But if anybody ever sees anything like that, please share it with me, text it to me, whatever. Text or calling is the best. Facebook Messenger, I don't check a whole lot. The other thing I wanted to give those guys a shout out for is the line painter, and just the amount of that. Jay showed it to me again the other day. It's just really cool. He found a good deal, and we bought the thing for a third of what we pay a year to have lines painted.
Amazing.
And you know, so it has the capability, not that we're going to be able to do this year. Jay's busy, like he said, but you know, it's got a wand, so maybe you could paint like bridges and stuff and vertical things. So you got a good one. And excuse me, I talked to Gage today about a few things, and we have dry ink on our land deal, and I didn't follow up with you, but I called the surveyor today and we had a good discussion, and he's going to get me a quote so I know where we're at, and I'm going to sign that hopefully tomorrow and get that surveyed within the next week to 2 weeks. And when he's in town, then I'm going to show him around some of the other things that could be down the pike, just so he has some awareness of it. I talked to Nate too about it, and I said, hey, we have a quick turnaround on some of this stuff, and they do surveying, and I said, I'm going to have someone else do that because it's a little bit cheaper and we can get it done faster. And he's like, do anytime you can do that, go ahead. And he's focusing on the main thing. So with any luck, I'll have that tomorrow, and it'll probably be at or below $2,200, depending on how difficult it is to find government pins and things like that. So that'll be a big next step. And does anybody have?
No, the ink is dry.
Yeah. So I didn't misspeak with that, did I? Yeah, so once we get that surveyed, then we'll have more next steps. I just really want to keep this momentum going. Does anybody have any questions about any of
You were
it?
talking about more land on that purchase. Did it stay at what?
Yeah, they were at 2 and I bumped it to 3 after 2 different, it was 2, then it was 2.5, and then we finally got to 3. There was
There's nothing else after that.
no, because
Yeah. No, you had mentioned it. So
Yeah, so I did follow up because I was asked to, and respect for the council and their wishes, and they said, no, we'd like to keep the rest of it. So that's no problem. I think we have enough elbow room now.
Are we using well 6 yet?
Yes, well 6 is being blended. That was one of the things I was going to go over. I think he's got it. I think Nick has it dialed in on how he wants to do it. And I talked to him today about the test equipment that we bought to just go around and start using that. So because it takes a while to incorporate, because our water system, our tower holds 750,000 gallons, but our system itself holds millions of gallons of water, you know what I mean? And so it takes a while for it to get around. So he's going to just kind of keep testing that. I'm actually going to buy one so that I can just go around and check stuff, because people ask me all the time, what do I do? And it's just different wherever you're at. For the blending, we try to keep it as uniform as possible with the blend, but the water snakes around through town the way it snakes around through town through the water mains. And the biggest thing is keeping a chlorine residual in there to keep the DNR permit satisfied, and keep the water blended in such a way that it blends down the fluoride from well 6 to an acceptable level, and just a balancing act. And when I talked to him today, I said, I'd just like to know where we're at exactly with the well field. He said it rebounded about 4 inches. So it's up a little bit.
Because of the blending, or?
Probably because not using as much, and just any kind of rain that we get uphill kind of helps that over. I mean,
Here.
no, I got about 150 drops of rain on my hood yesterday. That's about it. So, does anybody have any questions about any of that kind of stuff? I put out something. So the medical clinic that we own, the sleep center, due to after COVID, the insurance kind of loosened up on them being able to do in-home sleep tests. And the only time they really mandated that they did in-house sleep tests or extreme cases are for children. And they just don't do enough of those to keep this facility open. And they were trying to make it work, and they decided that they weren't going to be able to keep their location open here. And they were open, I think, 1 day a week. And so when Dr. Fleming learned about that, he kind of had a hard decision on what he was going to do. And he just wasn't in a position to stay with the economic climate. And he's just going to focus on his Marengo practice, his optometry practice. So we will have vacancy in the medical building. Total vacancy.
Because we thought he was looking around for part-time.
Well, we just were in conversations about it, yeah.
Or he
So
might.
we talked about it a couple times, and he just said it wasn't going to work out. And, he had conversations with other providers, because I said, why don't we bring in, there have been other people that talk about like another dentist or, because it's a medical facility, so you can do just about anything. I mean, you can't do like surgery or anything, but so I've talked with Kate about this about every week, just to try to strategize on what our next steps are. And I reached out to Barry, the CEO at Compass Memorial, to see if, like the podiatrist used to come to town and stuff. And I've talked to some mental health care professionals about possibly renting out spaces. So I think if anybody knows of anybody that has anything remotely to do with medical field, we're looking for tenants, and the rent is not exorbitant. So it's just nice to have those. There wasn't just like, the US Cellular deal. It isn't anything that we did or the community did or anything like that. It's business. It's not good news, but we'll try to pivot and get something else happening. And I'm working with Kate on it. So.
Anything else?
If somebody's any questions?
Agenda item number 19, Mayor's Report, Benton Landfill Meeting. I have no clue, so. I didn't.
Table that.
Yeah, we'll just pass that one by. Agenda item number 20, correspondence, RAGBRAI comments.
So the RAGBRAI organizers came to visit us, and they brought us this plaque that they made for the community. These are actually photos of Belle Plaine as they were going through Belle Plaine. I'd share that with everybody.
Very nice.
They had extremely positive comments to share. They were very happy with how things went here. And they asked us if we would be interested in them coming back.
You betcha, it was
they
a
kind
lot
of laughed at me when I didn't answer right away. And one of the other people said, "You mean as a pass-through or maybe a midday lunch place, right?" And they're like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I'm for that. Not sure I'm up to trying to do it overnight, but yeah. So they said whenever they have a town that things went well and they hear a lot of positive feedback from the writers, our star on the map gets a little bigger. So the chances of them coming back a little more frequently increases, because they thought things went really well here, and it sounded like the community had a good time with
Well, the
them being
positive
here,
is
and
one of the
so-
ladies that was riding through on RAGBRAI is part of the Cedar Rapids Chamber of Commerce or whatever the welcome group they have. So they're bringing a bus group in the spring to Belle Plaine. So they're going to come visit the museum, so that was kind of because of that, because she
Yeah.
saw that there was things, because they always do day trip, and they get like 50 to 60 people. So she called, and so we're on their radar and plans. So I said they can see the museum and then walk Main Street, and if people want to eat, they can. So that's a nice thing, but that was really kind of for her coming through RAGBRAI. So that was a nice
The
feedback.
businesses would probably really appreciate a heads up on that, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but they plan like 6 to 8 months out.
Yeah.
So she said, "Are you on?" And I said, "Yeah, just tell us ahead of time when you're ready and we'll make arrangements." So but they usually try to stay for 2 or 3 hours. And I said, "Yeah, there'll be plenty for everyone to something to do." So
Anything else?
ours are open.
Tourism's good.
That's right.
The numbers are weird on here. I'm trying to add one.
23 or 20.
Old business,
Oh,
non-resident
19.
comments, and we're out.
Okay,
I did get that, didn't I?
old business, that would be now agenda item number 21. There is none. And resident comments, agenda item number 22, there are no residents, so that's out. And agenda item number 23, whatever, yeah, adjournment. So is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion for adjournment.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're out of here.
Someone asked me and I don't know the answer.